Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Ashtotara Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Prense Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Oh glories to the assembled devotees, oh glories to the assembled devotees, oh glories to the assembled devotees, oh glories to Shishiguru and Shiguranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, the Summon Bonum, Chapter 54, Krishna marries Rukmini, text 51 and 52. Prane pranavashesha utsristo dvabhirhata bala prabha Smarambi rupakaranam bitathatma manoratha Chakreboja katam nama Nivasaja mahatpumapuram Pranavashesha utsristo Dvitpirhata bala prabha Smaram Virupakaranam Vitathatma Manoratha Chakreboja Katam Nama Nivasa Yad Mahat Puram Pranavashesha Utsristo Dvitbirhata Balakat Prabha Smaram Virupakaranam Vitathatma Manoratha Chakre Boja Katam Nama Nivasaja Mahatpuram. Please chant. Chakriboja Katam Nama Nivasaja Mahatpuram. Prana, his life air. Abhasheshaha, remaining only. Utsrita, spell. Dvitbihi, by his enemies. Hata, destroy. Bala, his strength. Prabha, unbodily effulgence. Smaram, remembering. Virupakaranam, his disfigurement. Vitatha, frustrated. Atma, his personal. Manaharataha, desires. Chakre, he made. Bhojakatham nama, name Bhojakatha. Nivasaja, for his residence. Mahat, large. Puram, a city. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Left only with his life heir, cast out by his enemies, and deprived of his strength and bodily radiance, Rukmi could not forget how he has been disfigured. In frustration, he constructed for his residence a large city, which he called Bhojakatha. Text number 52. Ahatva durmatim krishnam apratyuhya jabi jashim kundinam na prabheksyamiti uktva tatra vashatrusha. Translation and purport by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Because he has promised, quote, I will not re-enter Kundina until I have killed wicked Krishna and brought back my young sister, end of quote. In a mood of angry frustration, Rukmi took up residence at that very place. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that the word bhoja means experience, and that katha, according to the Nanartha Varga dictionary, means vow. Thus, Bhoja Katha is a place where Rukmi experienced the misery as a result of his vow. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ummilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Ramapada Swami Iti Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirveshesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So here's Sri Ajiva Goswami comment on text number 51. There's a little bit about this place Bhojakatha, which became the residence of Rukmi, and eventually became his capital, the capital of the whole kingdom of Vidarbha. And from there he actually ruled. But the name is quite telling. In the purport we hear that is the place where Rukmi experienced the misery as a result of his vow. So his vow was that he will not enter the capital city of Vidarbha. He will not enter unless he defeats Krishna, he kills Krishna, and bring back his sister Rukmini. So because of that vow, he did not enter, so he constructed a whole city, a very large city. So this is what Srila Jiva Goswami explained about this situation. He has previously lost his strength, armies, and luster because of his enemies. Then he felt his desires thwarted. Then because of being disfigured, he was left only with his life heir. Then he was free. Then he began remembering of his disfigurement. That is in order. The verse does not list the events in order because of feeling of disrespect in describing his conditions. The verse shows that he was completely disrespected. Balam means his army and his strength. Bhoja means one who enjoys, a prince or a member of a royal family of Vidarbha. And Srila Jiva Goswami quotes in reference of this Bhoja. He quotes this verse, Tateshwarena krata kaishikanam bhojena duo ragabe vishrista. King Bhoja, the Lord of Krata Kaishaka province, namely Vidarbha kingdom, sent an invitation through a devotee messenger to Raghu Vansa. So this is in reference to a king. His name was King Bhoja, and who seems to be. I mean, I didn't have time to actually try to research the story of King Bhoja as, the king of Vidarbha, but it's the same kingdom, so there's certain relationship in the lineage, of Rukmi. But I'm not, I was not able to find that out fully. But according to this, he appears to be like that. And the Raghuvansa is from the Ramayan, from the lineage of Lord Ramachandra. Lord Ramachandra is known as Raghupati. So is the highest emblem of this dynasty of Raghu. So the Raghuvansa is this lineage from the sun god. Kata means an agreement or oath according to Nanartha Varga. So this kata, this word kata, Bhoja kata. So the part kata means the vow that he takes, or the agreement, the oath. Thus, the meaning of Bhoja kata is a place where the Bhoja king made an oath. So, Rukmi, as a descendant or connected, this is the connection that I'm understanding, is connected to King Bhoja. So, part of that lineage, so the lineage or the Bhoja Kata, means that he has, being part of that lineage of the Bhoja king, make a vow. So that's how he called his city. It's this new city that he constructed in order to live and being able to fulfill his vow. So he did not enter the capital of the Vidarbha kingdom. He constructed this city, Bhoja Kata. Kata also means, here's another meaning that Srila Jiva Goswami gave. Kata also means the cremation place of the Vidarbha prince, as in the following example. So he quotes from another verse that uses this word kata in reference as a place of cremation. Kata dumasya saurabhyam, which translates, there was a smell of smoke from the burning of Putana. So it's a place where you burn, when you, and this is what the comments of the Bhaktivedanta book trust, gave, that is the place where Rukmi will suffer the consequences of his vow. So it's almost like burning all that, So it's a situation of Rukmi. Is quite a very fascinating, in one sense, study case to learn, because Rukmi was a very powerful very, very powerful king. In the Mahabharata, some insight of Rukmi's life is given. It is explained that he was a disciple of this Kimpurusha sage, whose name was, let me see here. Yeah, his name was Druma, a sage called Druma. And from this sage, he acquired this very, very powerful knowledge of weapons, Divya Shastras, which are not just ordinary weapons, but are divine weapons. That, so they usually, the warriors who possesses these divine weapons, they call Maharathas, or, the supreme or the super warriors. Not ordinary warriors, it was super warriors. And not only that, he also, by his austerities, he learned from Parshuram himself the Brahmastra weapon. So he also possessed the Brahmastra weapon. So it was extremely powerful. And when you have these powers combined with weak character, then this extreme pride and arrogance, takes place. So he was very arrogant and very proud of his powers. And with that type of bad character, naturally, birds of the same feather flock together. So all these different demoniac kings that were part of that whole scene, because remember, when Mother Earth appealed to Lord Vishnu to please come and relieve her of all this burden of demoniac kings that were basically creating havoc on Mother Earth, then this was the situation what Krishna descended in this world to free Mother Earth from all these demoniac kings. So this was, there was quite a scene of demoniac elements, powerful demoniac elements. And they all sort of have their scene. We sometimes hear that, use that word, you go to that scene and you have people of the same type of mentality, So this was all very powerful kings who were demoniac, and they all have a very common, they had a common disregard and hatred and envy towards Krishna. Beginning when Krishna came into the scene powerfully by killing Kamsa, which was one of the kingpins of the whole scene of demons. And then when Krishna came into that, from being unknown as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan, all of a sudden, this was, the son of Vasudeva that was, they all knew about that because they were part of it, the association of demons, I guess, about the oath, about the sound, the announcement that Kamsa will be killed by this powerful prince, son of Vasudeva and Devaki. So that became So then, Jarasandha took a vow and continually accumulating armies to destroy Krishna and was constantly destroyed. And from there, Shishupal, Dantavakra, Rukmi, so many that we hear throughout Krishna's pastimes in Dwarka, he eliminated and killed. Powerful, powerful king. So, Rukmi was one of such personalities who was extremely envious of Krishna. Close to Shishupal and Dantavakra and Jarasandha, as I say, and with this envy of Krishna, he naturally was convinced, even while witnessing that Krishna completely wiped all these people. The mentality of a demon is that he always considers himself, it's almost like you have this idea of supremacy. Pride makes you sort of overvalue your capacities. So in the Bhagavad Gita, this mentality is described by Krishna. The demon will think, Ishwara aham bhogi. I am the supreme controller. I am the supreme enjoyer. No one is greater than me. That's the mentality. They see themselves, and with that, they see themselves as invisible. I will crush all my enemies, and all of those who kiss my ring, I will protect. They will be part of my, like that. So basically, they have this Ishwara Bhogi type of thing going, like delusional. And we see it. We see it with the Kali Yuga versions of demons that we see sometimes, these political figures, that they're so proud that even though they're defeated, because that's another thing of these demons. And I was just going to go through a little bit of Rukmi's study case, how that type of delusion, that type of conviction, even though he was given all the opportunities, just because he was related to Rukmini, he was given all the opportunities to evolve and to give up all that. He just couldn't give up. And at the end, that's how he lost his life. He was not, for a demon, the mentality of a demon is that he can accept to be defeated. You won't hear from someone who is overcome by these demoniac qualities to ever say, I made a mistake, I was wrong. Part of the thing is that, it's important that you don't admit and you convince yourself that in the long run you're not defeated. You can't portray that, the picture of being defeated. You have to always remain in a position with strength. Because it's part of their it's part of the display, not the display, but it's more the conviction that they have, what they consider is their character or their, what's the word I'm trying to find? The persona, yes, but it's how they define themselves. They're winners, they're powerful, they're always on the top. Ishwara aham bhogi. I'm the supreme controller. So, if you add the word loser, then that completely destroyed that type of conception. It spoils it. So you can't do that. You cannot do that for a demon. That will be, like devastating, because everything that they invest their convictions and themselves about who they are becomes completely dismantled. So that propensity doesn't allow ones to admit, yes, I was wrong, or I'm not right, or I'm defeated, or this type of thing. So Rukmi's study case is quite something. He lost his life like that, in the same way, although he received so much opportunities. So he was very powerful. So we see how Krishna took away everything from him. Now, Krishna could have killed him, and like some of the others, maybe obtain some impersonal liberation or something like that. Like Shishupal received of some of the other demons, that they received. But Krishna didn't do that. Krishna allowed this fellow, punishing in such a way that he will remember. He took away everything. He was left only with his life air. So, take into consideration the mentality of this demon, who was so convinced of his powers, who had completely, that type of pride blind him to the reality, to actually being able to assess the reality and understand, whoa, Krishna is too big for me to actually to take. So I better, retreat and find out some other ways of, hurt him. But not by confronting. He couldn't see that. He was convinced that he is the most powerful. So he attacked. And he was completely and utterly destroyed. Everything taken away from him. And in such a way that it was very graphically done. So Krishna literally took away everything and left him only with his bruised ego and his life air. And with that, he basically constructed his city, which was named in such a way to remind him too. Everything was, like this dishonor, a reminder of his dishonor, of the type of what's the word that is used here? The disrespect and the all that that was there. So so he rebuilt himself. Now, even after that, he didn't give up his mentality, because instead of recognizing that, okay, Rukmini saves my life. Krishna is very powerful. I'm not very powerful in comparison with Krishna. So therefore, I can rebuild, there's some transformation that happens. When our pride and our delusion becomes exposed and dismantled, then there's the opportunity that is there to transform ourselves, to be able to reassess, this conviction that we have of ourselves, and being able to change, to become better, to overcome that type of delusion. Or you can be frustrated, you can hold a grudge, and you can, with anger, rebuild again. Rebuild, trying to rebuild yourself, and in one sense, holding that anger and that desire to get back. So this is the case of Rukmi. In the Mahabharata, it's explained that after, eventually he became the king, and he performed austerities to please Lord Shiva, and from Lord Shiva he was awarded also divine weapons, the weapons of Lord Shiva. And with that power, he rebuilt again his kingdom, and he became, a powerful king. As a powerful king, he still was given the opportunity. He still was given the opportunity because his daughter, Shubhangi, became married with Krishna's and Rukmini's son, Pradumya. And Pradumya won Shubhangi in a Vishwambara ceremony, which is when all the princes of the world come to trying to win the hand by show of power and skills to win, the hand of the princess. So Pradumya did that, and he was okay. So he was part of Krishna's family, not only, from Rukmini's side, from the marriage, the connection that is between, when there's intermarriage between kingdoms, then these kingdoms becomes united. That was part of, the Kshatriya type of code. So, and not only that, in one sense, he was okay, and he had, this affectionate relationship towards Rukmini. It is explained that that was there. He had, there was a connection between him and Rukmini, and therefore he was okay with that. But he didn't give up his hatred towards Krishna. He didn't give up that. Furthermore, his granddaughter, Rukmabati, married the son that came from Pradumya and Subhangi, whose name is Aniruddha. So this was an arranged marriage, and on the request of Rukmini, and with the consent of Rukmi, then the granddaughter was married to Aniruddha. And it's during this time that he lost his life. Right during the celebrations of this marriage, which was quite shocking. But it's because he harbored this hatred towards Krishna and towards Balaram. So the brilliant idea, quote, of trying to insult and to sort of get back at Krishna and Balaram came from one of the demoniac associates of Rukmi. Can't remember who it was. We're going to hear later in the chapters the death of Rukmi. by Balaram. Balaram, eventually killed him. So this demoniac king tells Rukmi, you're very good at gambling. You know how to play these dice and chess games. It's explained that it's a chess game, but it's also explained that it was a gambling thing. So you're very good at this. And Balaram, he's not so good. He's not into that stuff. But you can challenge him and completely defeat him. And that will be, sort of fun, to get back, at these Yadus. So he liked the idea. It's an opportunity to, have an, how you say, one up on the Yadus, and especially Krishna and Balaram. Although, as we see, that is what was Balaram who was chastising Krishna during the time that Krishna was, disfiguring this fellow. But he just had this demoniac type of envy and hatred towards Krishna and the Yadus. He didn't give up that. So he liked the idea, and he did that. He challenged Balaram. Now what happened is that, for Kshatriyas, this is something that they see as, they have this chivalrous mood that when they get challenged, and it is explained either to war or to a game, they can deny it. It's part of the Kshatriya code. They have to accept. So he accepted, and as the game goes, they were, gambling great amount of wealth. And during the first different games, Rukmi won. And they were sort of mocking Lord Balaram and the Yadus, explaining, you cowherd boys, know about this, these princely type of activities. You were, just taking cows and cleaning cows and things like that. What would you know? So they were insulting both Krishna and Balaram, and they were laughing at it. And Balaram was not happy about it. He became very upset, but he controlled himself. And thus, they continue, and eventually, they're starting to insult Balaram further and further as the game went, and, Rukmi keep winning, and then there's an instance in which this demoniac king that was instigated this, he, was laughing at Lord Balaram and show his teeth, like in a, insulting way. And then Balaram, very angry, he decided to play it again, and this time Lord Balaram won. And when Lord Balaram won, this fellow, they trying to cheat him, and he says, "No, I won. I didn't lose. I won. You lose." So, and the group of demoniac kings that were there, they were agreeing, so they played a game again, and then again Lord Balaram won, and then they started to dismiss that, and there was this voice in the sky that explained, that confirmed that Lord Balaram had won. Even then, they didn't accept, they mocked, they insulted, further insulted Lord Balaram, and it is explained that Lord Balaram took his club and wham, just like hitting in the head and finishing, which one club. There's another thing that says in the Mahabharata, he took the big chessboard and just smashed it in the head of the fellow, and it's just finishing him. Just one. And then especially the laughing king, when he saw that, then he's starting to run away. Lord Brahman caught him, and with his mace, he's just hitting in the mouth and broke off his teeth. So all that, he took it all. So he was killed in this way. Now it is explained that Krishna, he didn't say anything. Krishna he didn't want to observe Rukmini, nor accept Lord Balaram, so he remained silent. So Rukmi, he lost his life because he didn't give up this pride. He didn't give up his enmity towards Krishna. So Krishna can show his favor. He is known as Hari. And this name of Krishna, Hari, is he who takes away everything. So Queen Kunti explains that when Krishna is pleased with you, he takes away everything that you have and leave you basically this in a position that you have no shelter but just his lotus feet. So when he takes everything away and you have the opportunity to reform yourself and take shelter of his lotus feet, then that's Krishna's blessings. But that same opportunity, and sometimes we see as devotees, sometimes we observe that situations in which devotees may be very, very proud of the benefits and certain capacities that Krishna has provided you with, intelligence, education, beauty, any type of, opulence that Krishna has given you. And, if pride is there, that is something that Krishna will, if he favors you, he will expose and he will completely takes it away. You become exposed. And when that moment in which in everything become exposed in terms of your situation, it's a very, very wonderful opportunity, because you may be able to say, yes, I made a mistake, and you may be able to do some reparations of the havoc that your pride and your arrogance may have caused, into yourself and others. And you can do that. Krishna exposes the devotees like that. He will expose anything that we have in which pride becomes manifested, because Krishna is very kind and we are devotees. He will expose. And at that time, we can actually become humble. So this transformation from pride to humbleness is a very, very important aspect in our growth in Krishna consciousness. Because without humbleness, we won't be able to take shelter on Krishna, lotus feet, and Krishna's holy name. As Lord Chaitanya says that. Trinara Sunichena. Humility is one of the most important qualities that one has to cultivate. So pride has to be dismantled. So when Krishna exposes exposes ourselves and exposes all that, and takes away, all the things that we build our position or or who we are, or our conception, and he dismantles that by exposing, then it's the opportunity to take this humble position. And with this humility, you'll be able to rebuild by reparations, by proper acknowledgement, all these things. If that doesn't take place, that you remain still proud, you don't allow the transformation to go, the opportunity to go into the humble position, for rather, no, I didn't do anything wrong. No, I've been victimized. No, this is not true. You remain in that position, you remain holding to that sort of concept of yourself. That no, I won't say that I made something. So there won't be no reparations. There won't be no acceptance of mistake. You will twist the whole thing in such a way that that mistake was something else, but not that. It's just Jarasanda's type of mentality. Yeah, it was not the right time. He defeated me 17 times, but I didn't give up because I will win. And indeed, I win. I won at the end. That was his idea. That was his understanding. At the end, I defeated him. The 18th time, because Krishna didn't want to fight with him, and he climbed the mountain, etc., etc. You remember that. So this mentality that you don't give up that idea of yourself, even though it has been exposed, even though you have been, defeated, all that. And as long as you don't do that, then more and more will be gone, happening. Opportunities will be there until, what is left, but, you basically have, at the end, possibly, and very likely, you will commit such an offense that your spiritual life will be finished. In the case of Rukmi, he committed such an offense at the end to Balaram, and Balaram represents the spiritual master. So, in the path of devotees who don't take the opportunity when Krishna exposes our pride to become humble, then inevitably they will commit an offense to their spiritual master, and the opportunity in this lifetime, and possibly in the further lifetime, to become Krishna conscious will be pretty much destroyed. So it's just a very important study case for ourselves. The example of Rukmi. Very different to some of the other, we quoted at one point the comparison with Bali Maharaj, who similarly everything was taken away from him. But his heart was very much different. He had no envy for Krishna. And therefore he surrendered everything to Krishna. When he was left only with his life heir, and Krishna was asking, you still owe me? He gave himself. You put your third step on my head. So that's the difference. Anyway, some thoughts on this. Any comments or questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much for your class. You mentioned how Krishna gives us opportunity to humble ourselves. There's this acronym I remembered when you were mentioning this. They say God, G-O-D, gift of desperation. So, desperate we take shelter of Krishna and then we receive mercy. I remembered that, so I thought I will. Yeah.
Fine. Thank you. Anyone else? Ladies? Yes, Cynthia.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the class. I have two questions. So when you said that when Krishna takes away everything, when you make a mistake, so does he take everything away when you make a mistake? Because when Rukmi made a mistake, he tried to take everything from him so he could become more humble, but instead he kept his pride and he got defeated at the end. So, or just Krishna takes away everything because he just likes you, or when you make a mistake, just to show you what's more important. And the second question is, when Krishna takes away something, the first, I think, reaction is, my mind starts resisting, why it's taken away. And instead of, becoming humble, you just keep this resistance and asking question why. So what is the best, first step to become humble, becoming humble? Because, mind still keep resisting. Why is this taken away? Or why is this particular thing is not coming, because you understand that you should be humble, but it's hard, it's hard to do. And what would be the best, first steps to become more humble in this situation?
Yeah, that's a nice question. Thank you. The first question I would say is very personalized. There's no necessarily a one-fits-all type of arrangement from Krishna. It depends on all of us, and He's in our heart, so He exactly knows what's the right thing. And so for some, it may be that, everything is takes away, and then it's exactly what this person needed for transforming himself. For others, it may be a whole set of different things. You take this one and then goes into this array, and then, it's like you got several times until something clicks. But at the end, the principle is that Krishna won't disrupt our capacity to choose, a free will. It's always going to be our decision. And Krishna won't take away that from us, He will make all kinds of arrangements, but we still have to make a choice. I'm going towards Krishna, or not. And in one sense, also Krishna, one may ask, well, but Krishna knows that, so why he, didn't do it in such a way to give this guy, that if you take away this from this person, it's gonna, force him to go south, with this. So why? Better not to take away the thing. But Krishna doesn't see the small picture. Krishna sees the big picture. And He knows, that sometimes you may have to go through the suffering of your choices. Like this fellow, he have to go through the fire of, the cremation, being in a fire of the consequences of his choices. And be reminded at all time of that. Even the name of the city was, to remind him of that. So, so that suffering of the consequences, at the end he lost his life, but we know that he take birth again. All these things get connected, and you go further and further on that. That's a big picture. So Krishna knows that, and some people that are very, very invested with this demoniac mentality, this pride, he may take them, something more extreme to be able to awaken them for that. But at the end, Krishna is Sruhidam Sarvabhutanam. He is our best friend. So he knows. He is our well-wisher. So he knows, he sees the big picture, and we take, 1 to some lifetimes to be able to break from that. In the case of these big demons like, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyakasha, Ravana, Kumbhakarna, then Dantavakra and Shishupal, it took all those, to at the end being able to be free. And at the end, they didn't necessarily become Bhaktas. We know that they obtained this impersonal thing, but then they came back as Jagai and Madai, and then from Jagai and Madai that had entrance into Lord Chaitanya's pastime, and then what Lord Chaitanya gave them is what Lord Chaitanya gives, which is Braja Prema, which is the highest attainment, of any type of a spiritual attainment that is there. So, it may take all that much, for certain individuals. So that's the case. It's very personalized. It depends on one. But Krishna knows what he's doing, and Krishna is our well-wisher. So the message for us, which is part of your second question, is that, yes, it may take time for us to process the whole thing, because it's going to be painful when we become exposed and we have built an image of ourselves that we ourselves believe, and we have actually promoted it in the community, and it's part of our persona, it's part of who we are, and this conception, this upadi. And when Krishna exposes that actually you're not that, in fact you're this, and becomes exposed, then the whole thing is very painful. And to be able to process pain, it takes time. According to how advanced we are, we should be able to process, we could be able to process very fast and go, like Bali Maharaj, who, he is not just advanced, he's one of the Mahayans in the universe. So, but to a common person like many of us, it may take some time to process. In this space of processing, that you have to process, your own suffering, your own disarray of your concept of yourself have become dismantled, and you have to, if anger doesn't take, the thing is when anger takes, hold of yourself, and you're angry, then that's the part that will lead you south. But if you become introspective and you're trying to start to ask questions, well, why, and try to understand the whys, and with trying to figure it out, the whys, you start to, talk to people that you trust, and at the end, that why, that self-inquiry, that introspection would lead you to fully process and actually move towards humility, right, and to anger and all this stuff, that comes after anger. So I think it's important to be introspective and being able to, process everything that has happened from that perspective. And being able to monitor also your emotions and your negative emotions and where they come from and all that type of thing. It's an amazing opportunity. And Krishna does that when he knows that you can handle it. But at the end, it's going to be your choice. And sometimes he does that to help you, but he may do that to a devotee who is, when a devotee out of pride starts to commit offenses towards Krishna's devotees, then and it's more malicious, it's not, just unconscious, then Krishna may expose you to take you, kick you out of the association of devotees in one sense. And that exposure, you still have to make a choice. But if you don't, you're basically on your way out. That's one thing that happened. Past time, but it's an interesting subject matter. So,
just your mention of return of the two demons and coming as Jain Vijay in Lord Chaitanya's pastime. One interesting thing is that Lord Nityananda advised one of those two brothers to go and stand on the bank, one of the rivers, and whoever came there, he actually had to approach and apologize for all the suffering he had caused, and he did that constantly.
Yes, that's a fantastic, reaffirmation of the thing of humility. Makes, is part of the whole process of humility, is to make reparations and to do all what is needed to do to rebuild yourself from that perspective, from the perspective of humility. Rebuild everything. Rukmi rebuilt everything from the perspective of pride, and that was his demise. Yeah, that's very nice. Thanks. Daisha, you have anything?
No questions. Just appreciative of the way that you just expressed how Krishna takes things away. Because I know for me personally, like the theme in most of the classes lately has been about Lord Hari and how he's one who takes away, and that's the mercy, that he has on the devotees. And I'm just thinking well, I've been in Krishna consciousness for a year and a half and nothing's been taken away from me. But when I think about before coming to Krishna consciousness and everything that happened before then, and how everything was literally just ripped from me, my sense of identity and, my sense of community and relationships. And it was exactly like you expressed, that space where I thought that these things were, I don't know, who I was, but it was a sense of pride. It was just more subtle. I didn't recognize it. And so when Krishna ripped it away, it was I had to sit with it, and it was painful. And even now, there's some things that I'm still processing and trying to understand, what could I have done better, and what was necessary and needed of me in those instances, but I wasn't able to recognize or, give that or be that for certain individuals within my life. And so it's nice to have that realization that those things weren't just what I went through in the karma world, but I mean, yes, it brought me to Krishna and also prepared me so that in instances within Krishna consciousness, when they do arise, you know, in leadership positions and that sort of thing happens, I'm able to approach it from the standpoint of understanding rather than it being my own idea, my own perception of how things could be. And even humility, like, you know, I'm always asking, like, what is humility? What does that look like? But actually being able to see, and I don't know, I can't put it into words, but like I understand it better based off of the class. So thank you. It helped a lot.
Thanks for sharing. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Garantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.